Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a 212A. It's a Tier 9 Soviet SPG. This one's located on the westboard of Airfield and it's under the command of Oxagon of ANIML. And he's in platoon with Soul Collector, also from the same clan in the Waffenträger auf Panzer IV.
Time to roll out.
Game on! Well, we just did a video on Oxagon just yesterday, actually, funnily enough. And he was on the, which map was it? Steps. And he had a pretty good game. We'll see if he'll actually have a pretty good one on this one on the Airfield map. Now, he's still got the same Arty with 203mm howitzer. It's capable of doing 900 alpha, 52mm of pen, 10.4 meters on the blast radius, and 12.5 to 28 seconds of stun. Standard reload 37.39, but you can see here he's got 27.53 on this Arty. Now, several enemy tanks in sight, including a Barask, and he's just walked into our spider's web, and he's attacking our Type 59 at the moment. Oh! Well, unfortunately, the Type 59 got stunned, but at least the Barask has gone down. But there is another one on the enemy team, so we may have to keep our eyes open because he might be the next to try and take out our Type 59. Well, this is the Arty that was made from the KV-222, or would have been, if they actually had gone into main production with the KV-222. As many of you probably know, the KV-222 was an elongated KV-1 with extra armour at the front and the rear and a better engine. It was basically the test program for the KV-3. They were actually trying to make a better hull, which was more resistant to German hulls. German shells, rather. The KV-222, like the T-150, well, we don't know where they ended up. But there's certainly no one's ever kept one. Rounds out. Well, the Gonkavitska had 367 of actual damage. T-30 took some damage as well, bit from splash. As you can see, Soul Collector is aiming at any enemy tanks that actually try to cross the Temple Mount, just like all that central area, right in the centre of the map. In fact, that is going to disappear when they actually do an update sometime in the future. What's going to happen is that they're going to make that that island fall underwater, which is going to make the game change somewhat. We've got a red line at the moment that indicates the target is being obstructed by something that's in the way. You can see the red line. So we can't attack that TT-130 at the moment. Well, we might be able to get a shell next to the Gonkavitsa. Okay, there he is. Rounds out. Oh, it fell too close. The rock took it instead. Now, this is a Tier 9 game with Tier 8 tanks in it, so he's top tier. And that means he's got extra responsibility, really. See, there's a few enemy tanks here we could actually attack. The Conqueror. There's an ELC M90 up in the north of the airfield. Rounds out. Direct hit. 294, but it hit the hard front on the Conqueror, and that's why it ate most of the force. Yes, that ELC M90 up in the north. Oh, well, he just left the game. The ISU 152 make quick work of him. I was probably thinking that it may be that Oxagon could get a nice kill out of that one, but no, somebody else got there before him. Okay, looking around the map, there are still some enemy tanks, including the other Barask, who's hovering, thinking, and now he's out the game. That was a beautiful shot, that one. Absolutely perfect. He knew the guy was going to head south, so he aimed the shell slightly further to the south. And it looks like the enemy Arty's worked out where we are. He's fired a round in, and it might be that somebody told him where the enemy shells were coming from. and they said, he's up on that north corner. We might have to move now because, yes, if we stay where we are right now, we'll be on the receiving end of another shell from the 212A. He won't let it go, and I heard another rumble. And yes, the shell landed nearby, but not on us. So it wasn't close enough to give us any splash. But you see, the enemy Arty won't let go if he thinks he's going to get an easy kill. Unfortunately, we can't get a shot at the Gonkovitska, but we can certainly put a shell into that IS-3 if he moves any closer. Oh, it looks like... No, it looks like the IS-3 is going to take the shell. Rounds out. Yep, only a little bit of damage. 24 hit points to the Gonkovitska, but it's actually the IS-3 we were aiming for, and he went unspotted just at the moment the shell arrived. Now we've moved back into the very spot where we were before, and the enemy Arty is now focusing on the middle island. So you can see Temple Mount is where they're aiming, and it looks like they're after the Progetto. We're going to give the Gonkovitska another. And this time round, it's the last one. He's out the game, and that's a second kill for Oxagon. Soul Collector doesn't have a single kill yet. In fact, I'm wondering if he has any damage at all. I suspect he does. Now, that's the IS-3 we saw hit earlier, and it looks like he's missing most of his hit points. And it might be that the person who took those hit points away was Oxagon. Because remember, he did get a direct hit, and he went unspotted just at the moment we fired. Oh, well, he did try, and he got the stun assist anyway off that one. Now, this battle is from the 126 update, and a lot of people have been changing their crews around, and there's a very good reason for it. At the moment, Wargaming is allowing you to reset your crews for free, and then to put all the crews, the skills back in again as you want it. And this is allowing a lot of players to actually put BIA crews into effect without actually having to pay any extra gold to do it. So for the next 29 days, because although some people may have started earlier, for the next 29 days, you can change your crews for free and try out the new skills that are available. There's quite a few. In fact, there are some which actually speed up the crew's capacity if they can score more damage than the hit points of their own vehicle. And in case of Oxagon, he's definitely doing that, because he's now managed to get 2,005 hit points of damage, which means if he was to get the communications skill, he would actually bump up his skill of his entire crew by 2.5%. So very much worth having that skill in your crew if you can actually do more damage than the hit points of your own vehicle every time you go into battle. Another skill that's very useful is the one that dials in very, very quickly. There's one that increases the dial-in speed by about 2.5%. And there's others which actually increase the amount of damage you do to the enemy tanks. And so that one's worthwhile because it tunes the shells. So yes, there's a lot of incentive for players to retune their tanks and change the skills around and use that as a means of actually getting a BIA crew, which increases the crews or the skills on the crew by 5%. Okay, Jag Tiger's backing away, rounds out, and direct hit. 383. Now the enemy does still have their Arty, so we're changing position. You can see our team are now moving further west. We've only got one tank up on the enemy, but and the scores are about even. Well, they are now actually 7 tanks apiece. So this looks like it's going to get a very dangerous battle. We just lost our AMX-30, and it was to the 212A. So at this moment, he's hungry and looking for another target. That 212A, by the way, he has 3 kills. Now that T-30 just came into sight, we're dialing in as quickly as we can. Rounds out. Another direct hit, 448. And we're changing position just slightly. You can see the impact craters there on the ground where the 212A fired before. And of course, the enemy will be able to see those impact craters because they will show up on his overhead. But if we're not spotted, it won't show up the 212A. So he knows where he aimed before, and he knows that he failed to get a kill off those shots. So he might not shoot at them again, which might be another reason to go there. Rounds out in the Scorpion. Well, okay, now he's just going to change position now because obviously the 212A probably saw that. I have a feeling the 212A is near that area. And if he saw that shell come in, he'll know that we're in that corner somewhere. Counter battery is also about luck. You know, sometimes your teammates spot where the shells are coming from, and then they fire a shell in just to test the water. That was a shell just then from the enemy 212A going after our 50 TP, who's not too far away. Coming down to 4 minutes till the end of the battle. And there's still a lot of players still alive. So normally at this stage of the game, quite a few of them are out the game already. And one side has normally got an advantage. But it appears here now at the moment that both teams are still fighting. Oh! And with scores even again. There's the Scorpion we fired at earlier. Loses another 254 hit points. So again, the scores are even. Both teams have Arty. Both teams have 3 tank destroyers. Although one team has 2 mediums and a heavy. We have 1 medium and 2 heavies. Okay, there's the Jagdtiger. Now we're still dialing in. You can see the concentration skill is actually coming into effect. It's showing that now. We are concentrating on the target. A lot of Arty players with 3 marks like Oxagon obviously do have a lot of skills available, and they probably do have the ability to dial in very, very quickly on targets. We're looking for that Scorpion down the south. We can see where we hit the last time. It looks like Soul Collector is near the cap area on our base. And so if the Scorpion goes there... Oh, and unfortunately, the 212A on the enemy Arty... yeah, he actually just killed Soul Collector. So it looks like the Scorpion might have actually spotted Soul Collector. He pulled back. And that's when the 212A got him. So the enemy does have an advantage, but only by 1 tank. And now we're trying to even that up. Rounds out the Jagdtiger. It's another direct hit. 244 hit points. And now we're into the 2-minute mark. I would not be surprised if the enemy 212A did try to get a shot. And the T-30 just killed our 50 TP. And now they definitely have an advantage, a 2-tank advantage, but only 1 minute 30 seconds left on the clock. And the Scorpion suddenly appeared. Now he's focusing on the Striv 103, and he just got a kill. Okay, a Reveler Resay as well on the enemy team, just killed our Type 59. We're definitely at a disadvantage now. We can take out this T-30. In fact, it would be a very good idea to go for the T-30, but instead he's going for the Conqueror. And now he makes both of those guys one-shots. Now, if they stay where they are, then on the next shot he could kill, but the Conqueror goes down to our Lurver. And Mr. Lurver has just been wiped out by the T-30. So there's only 2 left on our team with only 45 seconds left on the clock. I don't think the enemy's in a position to actually dominate this yet. There goes the T-30. Now, where is that Scorpion? That's the question. And now might be the moment to get into that bush. We've just been spotted. And in fact, it is the Scorpion coming in. So we're not ready for the shotgun. And he's fluffed his shot, which now means, because he's got a long reload, we could go in there and shotgun him if we're loaded. We're not loaded, and here comes the enemy Arty shell. It's on the wrong side, but the Scorpion reloaded in time. And with only a few seconds left, that's it. The game's over. It's a draw. Here's the end of battle stats, and in the first game, it's a second-class tanker for Oxagon of ANIML in the 212A. He got a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 11, and he got a Gauze medal for doing more damage than 8 times the hit points of his own vehicle. His win rate in that game, 5,465, which is Super Unicum standard, but sadly, the Scorpion was able to reload in time and take him out of the game. When it came to team score, he did actually manage to get the second highest damage in the game. T30 on the enemy team got a high caliber for 4,426, until of course he got taken out by Oxagon. The third highest damage turned out to be the Scorpion with 2,661. So I suppose there's some symmetry there. The best player on the enemy team got taken out by Oxagon, and Oxagon got taken out by the third place player in the game. Oxagon 4,042. That's pretty good going, just behind the T30. When it came to kills, though, it was actually the T30 and the 212A on the enemy team. The 212A on the enemy team got a Starks medal, so obviously he took 2 hits from the enemy, managed to get at least 2 kills, and was still alive at the end of the game. He got 4 kills, so did the T30. 3 kills went to Oxagon, and also to the ISU 152, who was the only player on Oxagon's team who was still alive. And then 2 kills went to the Luva, and the Scorpion, and the ELC 790 on the enemy team. When it came to base XP, we can see that the high scorer was the Luva with 734, down to the fact that he was tier 8. Obviously, he was getting more 10% extra for every tier 9 that he hit. And the second highest was the T30 with 628. And the third highest was the Scorpion with 608, with Oxagon in fourth with 538. He fired 17 rounds, got 10 direct hits on the enemy, 1 penetrating shot, and 17 splash. Now, I have a feeling the penetrating shot was the Barask. Can we check that and find out? Well, we look down the list. There's the Barask. Yes, he went straight through him. That was the one where you could see the guy was turning to go south, so he laid the shell directly in his path, and he just drove straight into it and got wiped out. So very good shot, that one. 17 splashes, 4,042 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. Did receive 1 hit. It was a penetrating shot from the Scorpion, and 2 hits by way of splash from the enemy 212A, but he could never nail him down. 7 enemy vehicles were damaged, 3 were killed, and he got 144 hit points of stun assist or 14 stuns. So the reason he didn't get an ace tanker off this one was not a lot of stun assist out of the game. On a premium count, he actually made a loss of 22,629 credits from the game, but he did get a profit on the XP of 1,279. Now, I did say this was the first replay. There is a second one, so let's have a look at that one and see if Oxagon can do any better. In the second battle, we're on the south spawn of Pilsen, and this time round, Soul Collectors decided to be in the Patchat 25 TAP, which is the Tier 9 French light tank. Both of them got 3 marks of excellence. Game on! There's a variety of places you can actually shoot from in Arty on this map, but most people tend to go straight for the corner and fire from there. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because of course there's plenty of places you can hide up in those woods, and that can make a big difference, because of course you're constantly moving around. It's difficult for the enemy RT to get shots on you. But there are some interesting places you can go to shoot at the enemy, especially if you go right to the south of the railway line, because if your team goes up the railway line, they've got artillery support, which really overwhelms the enemy if you get enough shots off. Well, the first target he's going for is a CS63, a tier 10. Is it Polish or Czech? I can never remember if the CS63 is Polish or Czech, actually. I think it's Polish, actually, if I remember correctly. But it's over in the coal yards in the pits, opposing Soul Collector. Okay, looking around now and using our concentration skill, we fire in at the bushes and it hits the pipes instead. Okay, the enemy's got an E100 tier 10 German tank, a heavy tank, and a Type 5 heavy. Now, where are they going to sit? Because if they sit in the right spot, we could possibly damage both of them. But okay, we're going for the E100. Direct hit for 327. The Type 5 will obviously make a lovely target because, of course, plenty of stun assist to earn. I also just noticed that a Doom Turtle came into view a moment or so ago. Rounds out in the Type 5. Direct hit right into the side. 236. Plenty of stun. We haven't changed position so far, but it looks like most of the enemy Arty are actually firing at our guys on the west of the map. Going for the E100 again. Another direct hit. 400 hit points this time. He's looking to whittle down that E100 and pick up all of the hit points. Rounds out. Well, yep, the E100 knew that the shell was coming, so he ducked forward as fast as he could. But both tanks got stunned. And of course, whilst they're stunned, they are vulnerable to a shell which can penetrate them. They're relying on their side scraping at the moment. Okay, we're almost ready. Rounds out on the Type 5. Another direct hit. But again, very solid armor on Type 5 heavies. Difficult to penetrate. Meanwhile, over on these coal yards, we're seeing that the enemy are pushing forward. Looks like Soul Collector's having a bit of fun as well, but he is losing hit points at the moment. And that CS63 has to go. Rounds out. Direct hit 367. I think Soul Collector is getting ready for an assault on him. But I think he's in reload. Yep, he's trying to stay away from the CS63 whilst he's waiting for his shells. And he's also getting the CS63 ready for another shell. And another big hit, 458. Now that's more equal for Soul Collector. You can see the CS63 keeping his gun on Soul Collector as much as he can. He doesn't know when Soul Collector's going to poke out and take him down. Oh, he's getting ready for something, that CS63. Rounds out. Well, he's lost another 194, which makes him a one-shot for Soul Collector if he's got the right gun. And he goes down. In fact, it's a Leopard 1 who gets him in the end. Now, we're 2 down on the enemy. We were 3 down at one moment there for a brief moment. And the enemy does have a Heshbarn, the FB4005. We don't call it the other name because, of course, children are watching these videos. They do watch them. They're not made for children, these videos, but they are watched by children. Therefore, we're very careful not to use any language which might be compromising or difficult. We can certainly get fruity sometimes when we're actually discussing things, and obviously the parents might know what we're talking about, but the children probably won't, in which case it's perfectly okay to make those statements. The E100 is now in very, very dangerous territory. He's very low on hit points, and the Heshbarn, when he's poked out once too often, he got spotted. And now we can lay a shell right down on top of him. We've lost sight of him. Rounds out. Now, will this hit? Yes, it does. Now, that might have penetrated him because, of course, they have very thin armor on their turrets. We'll have to wait to see how much damage we did do to the Heshbarn. But in the meantime, the E100 is ripe for plucking. And is he going to be sent back? Yes. Sent back to the garage. Oh, we got spotted. Now, expect some enemy Arty action now. The enemy's got a GW Tiger, the Geschützwagen Tiger, tier 9 German SPG. He can either have a 17cm or a 21cm main gun. Rounds out the T95. Good shot. Only 180, but it is into his side. We're changing position every movement now. And there's the enemy Arty firing at us. And he missed. I could hear the rumble in the distance. That's even if you don't have the Arty detection skill, you can tell that an enemy is fired at you if you hear that rumble, and then it's obviously inbound. So the answer is to get moving as soon as you hear that rumble. Okay, only 52 hit points from the last one. Well, I haven't heard the rumble yet. There's the T95. He is a one-shot. If we can splash him or hit him with enough hit points. In the meantime, we're looking at TNHT Viz 51 with quite a lot of hit points. So we're going to hit him. Rounds out. Direct hit on his front for 297. 3,006 hit points of recorded damage. Remember, we have hit a few players with blind shots, and there's a good possibility that we have much more. We've got a one-tank advantage. We've turned that three-tank disadvantage round to a one-tank advantage, but the enemy just clawed one back. Rounds out the TNH again. Another big hit, 248. It makes him a one-shot. This battle is finally going our way. Most of the enemy tanks, if they have taken an advantage, it's been on the coal yards of the railway line. So it looks like that's where most of them are. We know the TNH is in the factory area, and we know the enemy Arty is right to the north. The enemy's going after our Arty at the moment, and the first taker is a T22 medium, which is a tier 10 medium, and we're going to blast around in there. Rounds out. Okay, that's bound to have done some damage. Another tank coming in is a Type 68, which is a tier 9 Japanese, if I remember correctly. Getting close. So he's going to the same spot where the T22 was, which means the T22's probably moved out into the bushes. Rounds out. Oh, now he damaged the Type 68. There's the T22, moved from the bushes to the just around the back of the cap area. Now our guys are now chasing the TNH in the north. And although we're focusing in this area to provide support to Soul Collector, who's holding the enemy back from our cap area. Put another round in there. Yes, a blind shot. Yep, the T22 poked his head round the corner, but he's probably not fancying doing anything more than that at the moment. Mainly because he might get an Arty round coming back at him the same way. Only seconds away. The enemy Arty's been taken care of, so he's out the game, and we now have a 2-tank advantage over the enemy. The T-95's returning. There's only 3 enemies left. They're all down in the south. The T-22 pokes his nose out to have a go at Soul Collector. But there's the Heshbon. And let's have a look. Yes, he has been hit. He lost about 500 hit points. Now, we don't know if that was all us, but that was all us. And that is a penetrating shot for 1,218. Hit the turret and went in and did its job. That's a massive hit. A high roll. Remember, it's 900 alpha, so that's 318 hit points high. He's changing position. Oh, he walks into a shell from the T-95 coming up behind him, and he's out the game. Okay, so there's no enemy Arty to worry about. Now we're changing position just to get a better angle on the enemy. Okay, T-22 is making his move. We're loaded. We're not dialed in, though. This is one that I said, one of those new skills is to actually dial in very quickly. And their Type 68 has gone. And that now means that the Type 22 is the last one, or T-22 medium. And the gorillas come in. Oh, he gets a big pen and a high roll. And he does pull out just to take one shot at the gorilla. He might try for another one. He does get it. But I don't think he'll try it again, because that gorilla will be loaded any second. And I think the gorilla said, well, you've had your bit. Now it's my turn. We missed the point where Soul Collector died. Unfortunately, he did go down. Probably the T-22. Whilst we were looking at the Heshbon. Oh, and the T-22 does kill our Vickers 3, but he's now reloading, and that's the end of the game. Nice shot from the gorilla, and game over. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game from Oxagon in the 212A. He managed to get a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In this one, he managed to get 13. He also got a Gauze medal for doing more damage, exceeding 8 times the hit points for his own vehicle, the same as in the last battle. But this time around, he also got a Confederate for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else on his team. In fact, he has only 1 kill that he actually made in the game, and that was the E-100. His win rate in this one, 5,152, so he's nothing if not consistent, because in the last battle, it was 5,465. So, yes, he's actually dropped a bit on win rate, but he got a better result with an ace tanker. Let's have a look at team score and see where he is. Well, surprisingly, he just narrowly beat the Heshbon for the highest damage. Wasn't 20% of the enemy hit pool, and that's why he didn't get the high caliber. But he got 4,974 hit points to the Heshbon getting 4,921. So that's 53 points difference. And in third place, we've got the T-95 on the enemy team with 4,512. When it came to kills, the high scorer was the T-95 on our team and the Heshbon on the enemy team. Both got 4 kills apiece. 2 kills went to the Gorilla 15, the Vickers 3, and the MXM 451. And on the enemy team, their T-95 and T-22 medium both got 2 kills. When it came to base XP, though, only 3 players are in it with the over 1,000. The top player was, in fact, Soul Collector with 1,193. Second place was the T-95 with 1,190. And third and last place goes to Oxagon with 1,116. So all around the same amount. But they were the only players who managed to get over 1,000 base in the game. We can see that Oxagon got 21 shots off in that game. That's a big game. But he was pumping those shells out, keeping his barrels hot. The more shells you pump out, the more chance you've got of getting a Confederate, and also the more chance of racking up a Gauze medal in terms of damage. He got 13 direct hits, 1 penetration. We know that the penetration shot was on the Heshbon, and it was a large one. 21 splashes as well. 4,974, all of it at more than 300 meters. Damaged 9 of the enemy, killed 1, and did 1,010 hit points of stun assist off 20 stuns. So a much better performance on stun in this game. But it did help that we had tanks who are willing to hit the enemy targets and get shots into them, and that gave us the assistance. Now, it was only a small loss on this game for 1,664 credits. But that was down to the fact that he had to pay full price on consumables. And he got 1,674 experience points out of the game as well. So, yes, it was a better result. And he just kept pumping those shells out on the enemy. And, of course, I think that was also down to the fact this map does play better for Arty players than the Airfield map. Those mountains that they put in the place got in the way. And they really make it difficult. Back when it was the old version of Airfield, way back, it was actually much easier to score a lot more damage because the hills didn't get in the way. There were plenty of spots that you could go to where you could hit just about anyone. But Wargaming has been doing their best to make it more difficult for Arty to actually play on certain maps. But yes, good game on Pilsen. Hope you enjoyed those 2 replays. If you did, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.